Wow! Thanks, brother. I gotta say, that is the loudest applause that TNC may have ever produced. Good job, Nathan. I was challenge him a little bit. I know that you guys are here to take loads of notes and get the hacks and learn systems, so it's okay if we don't go full rah-rah. Are you okay with that? Yeah. No, I said, are you okay with that? Yeah. Just kidding, no rah-rah. All right. Listen, it's really great to be here. Just curious, have any of you seen some of my social media out in the world? Raise your hand if you have. Put it up, a tall raised hand. Just okay, a number of you here, great. Raise your other hand if you're just kind of interested in this whole organic thing that seems so hard and impossible at times. Raise your hand if you're here for that. Okay, well, you're probably in the right room then, and this probably makes some great sense. So what I really want to do is I just want to talk about how a person chooses themselves to get their message out to the world. I'm doing a brief pause on the podcast to share with you the number one question that I've been asked for the last 20 years. Ever since I became a millionaire in the game of real estate, people love to ask, Kris, what would you do if you were me? And so I invented this thing called financial game plans. And what I basically do is I ask you a whole bunch of questions, find out your job, your income, your whatever, how you've been stashing cash, or whether you're deeply in debt. And then I basically say, cool, I wake up as you, and if I want to become a multimillionaire, what choices am I going to make different than you? Well, guess what? If you're curious of knowing what that might look like, you can click the link down below and request a free game plan. I've trained a massive staff of superstars that know exactly what I would do because everything I do is a system. So if you want to know how to build the most wealth, click the link below and request a free game plan. Get a multimillionaire's perspective, and who knows? We might be partnering up on business, real estate, or some sort of other wealth creation where we end up doing it together. Click the link. I'll see you there. What is organic media? Organic media ultimately means that you're only trying to find the people that like you. That's all it means. So I don't have a goal of having 1 billion followers. I only want to connect with people who want to connect with me. And here's the typical client journey. They Google something on their device, and then I pop up. And then they click. And then they decide right then and there, I like this dude. I don't think I like this dude. Because we're not in the information age, we're in the entertainment age. My energy is classified as entertainment. And so is everyone else's. So we care who we learn from. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. We already know how to lose weight, and we already know how to make money, but I want to learn it from the person that I like. That's all organic is. So the thing is, how do you then put yourself out in the world where all the people that are going to like you can find you? Because it would be better to have a really small following that's organic than a massive paid list that's challenging to monetize. And I have to just tell you right now, I do zero paid anything. Some people probably think I'm stupid, but I can't stand talking to human beings that I paid to direct response something and come into a campaign and have to twist their arm to do anything. You see, here's their journey. They find me. They decide if they like me. And then you know what they do? They watch my crap. And at some point, something pops up in their feed and they binge me. And by the time they contact my company, they've watched on average 148 pieces of content. Now, I think you all have heard how many interactions do you need for someone to want to buy something from you? In today's world, the number used to be 7, then it rose to 10. Today it's what? Hello? It's 17. You need 17 exposures to get a yes out of someone. So someone has called my company after having 148 exposures. That person almost has a credit card in hand and they're saying, I found you. I like you. I've watched a ton of you and now I want to do business with you. Raise your hand if that would be amazing if you could bring that into your business. It'd be really incredible. I'm a spoiled brat. I will never do business any other way. And this is a guy who spent millions on radio and TV and the old school stuff and MLMs. And man, for me, it's just 3 hours once a week in studio and I'm done. And my team will turn that into content. And I'm going to reveal all of that in the little bit of time that I have. Maybe even have a little Q&A. Would that be okay? Yeah. All right, cool. So we're going to blaze through some of this. So here's what you're looking at. I'm going to talk about how 3 hours of a talent, so I'm talent. If you're the person on camera, you're talent. How does 3 hours of you turn into 100,000 organic views in the first month and 1 million views by the 6th month? Anyone curious on that one? And then how do you turn that into 7-figure revenue? How do you grow your social media over 200% every single year? And then ultimately, how do you grow this thing into a 9-figure thing? Like based on our growth of doubling year over year over year. Anyone here, we'll talk about Nature Sunshine with Reese Witherspoon and what she's been able to do. I'll just tell you right now, like this year, my social media company alone is worth $150 million. So this 3 hours a week actually has exit value. The downside is I'm never gonna exit my social because there's too much passion and purpose and world educating that's behind it. And I love it. So for those of you that don't know who I am, I was financially free originally at the age of 26. I just turned 43. I've now done over $2 billion in real estate, 6,500 homes, written a bunch of books, and really for my wife who's here with me, our foundation is like the most important project in our world. On Monday, it's Wheels Up. I'm headed to Ukraine for the second time this year. Our foundation is bringing millions of dollars worth of relief aid to resupply hospitals and do the work of extraction of basically pulling out people from the war zones that don't have the ability to come to safety. So at this point, thank you. Thank you. It's, I love changing lives, but that is a saving lives mission. And at some point now, there's more than enough money. Now wealth is just a really cool, it's a game. And I want to share with you the rules of how you do that in the organic world. So organic social media, what it does is it creates content which produces the most qualified free leads. That's what I love about it. There's a huge difference between organic and paid. We're not going to spend a ton of time on paid, but paid will always go through some of its woes, its up and downs, its rising, increasing costs, and it's becoming more difficult to play that way. And since 2010, lead costs have more than doubled in every sector. Successful finance leads, for example, they're now $47 to produce. And that's just a trend. But if you want to know where the future's at for the next 2 decades, anyone that figures out organic social media, it's like real estate. And you gotta, please allow me to put in the real estate thing. You know what I love about real estate? It's passive and it's residual. As long as I put out 3 hours a week, my social just keeps getting bigger because every video on YouTube, every video on podcast, yes, it's a video podcast, not an audio. It's a machine that never stops. It's search engineable. People are watching my videos from 8 years ago before I could grow a beard. So the stuff never dies. The purpose of all the shorts, which is the majority of what we post, is just to bring people into what? Longs. So all the shorts where we get millions bring people to the longs. The longs is where you get concentration and depth and ultimately convert people into, hopefully fans of yours. Companies spent $710 billion in advertising in 2021. That's a 22% increase from 2020, but it actually produced less results. So one of these things is dying. It'll never entirely go away, and a new platform will emerge, and then it'll get cheap again. And there's always the paid game, but I won't ever do that paid game because I just can't stand the low quality of interaction that I have because I care about the long game. All right, here's the updated stat. Thank you, pandemic. We now have 13.2 hours a day of FaceTime for the average person in America. A lot of this is social media. My social media went crazy during the pandemic. It was just wild. People had all this time on their hands. What were they going to do with it? I'll tell you what Reese Witherspoon did. She had a $900 million exit with Hello Sunshine. And this is new for people to process that a social media brand has a 8 to 12x EBITDA associated with it. There's some brand value there. So here's what we're going to do. If you follow the strategy that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to show you how to get to that 100,000 views over the next couple of months, and I'm going to show you how to bring it to 1 million. It's just a system. It's a what? System. And I'm not here to say it worked for me. I've actually been testing it on the names that you see up here. I'll introduce some of these individuals, Dolph DeRoos, Robert Allen. These are older folks that weren't on social. I put them on social, did some crazy stuff. Rob Gill talks about life insurance, Dan Olson on franchise. And then less than a year ago, I started a health channel, and my health channel is getting over 1 million organic views every single week. So all I want to say is that the system and the 5 steps I'm going to be breaking down for you, I've now been able to replicate it. But I have to be honest, there's a few other names that were on that list, and I couldn't hack it. And I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why I've also seen it not work. Would that be helpful? All right, so I don't want anyone wasting their time. So here's Dolph. 64 years old. He was very popular in the 2000s. He's written like 23 books, commercial real estate international guy, did over 1 million in revenue his first year on social media. Last week had 3.9 million views when a year earlier he had no social media in the world at all. Bob Allen's 73 years old, 40 years of that no money down real estate stuff, zero social media. And he started in August 2021 and grew to 1.6 million in monthly views. He is generating around 500 paid leads a week right now. Last week, my team is still getting those monetizable, but last week it was 70 grand in a single week that was generated for Bob Allen's leads. This is my favorite example because this dude is a business partner of mine. He's a dear, dear friend. And man, if you actually go check out this guy, you're gonna be like, dude, there's no way this guy is getting 500,000 views a week. Like, he's from Bayonne, from Jersey. He's not like the most collected, what you might even term an influencer. He talks about life insurance. It's not the most boring topic that you could possibly produce media for, but I have ownership with him in a life insurance company, and they've been doubling revenue each year for the last 2 years, and they're slaying it. So let's just talk about why organic media, especially when Ryan Dice comes out on day one. He's like, according to the polls, people don't really like the organic, and that's because they don't understand it. I'm gonna skip that. Here's the 5 steps that I do wanna focus on so that we'll see if we can do a little bit of Q&A. Step 1, I never produce content unless it is keyword researched. If any of you are like capturing content like, oh yeah, we got this content, it was really good, and I talked about my thing, and then we put it up, but no one's watching it. I got news for you. If it's not keyword researched, it doesn't matter. Number 2, I'm gonna recommend that you create 5 long form pieces of content a week that you're gonna chop up into 1 million little pieces. You're gonna then have a social media coordinator. This is the most important member of your team that's gonna do a minimum of 300 posts a week. By the way, if you've been trying organic and you're up to like, oh yeah, we dropped like 50 posts last week. That was a record. I got news for you. You're driving a Ferrari in first gear from LA to New York. Like, that engine's gonna break down if you don't get that thing in second. You're not posting enough. You're not gonna tell the algorithm that you're a consistent enough person to actually qualify as an influencer. You're a dabbler. Step 4, you're gonna then use funnels to generate qualified leads. And then step 5, you're gonna hand these off to 100% commission sales reps that last week did $1.6 million for me. So their job is to take those leads, some of the highest quality leads that you'll ever generate in your entire life, and basically turn that into cash. All right, so I'm gonna go through these real quick, and then I bet we're gonna have some time for a little bit of Q&A. So step 1, keyword research content. Have a team member keyword research titles. Guys, just go to Google and just Google, how do you keyword research? There's 2 free tools. You'll find them very easily, and don't produce content. So on Monday, when I walk into my YouTube studio in the afternoon, there's 2 things waiting for me. The first one is, Kris, we're gonna do 2 podcasts. And here's the title of it, and here's the 5 questions we're gonna ask. And the podcast is videoed because we care about the video, not the audio. We'll upload the audio, but I'm gonna chop that into 1 million pieces. And a podcast is easy because it's gut talk. As long as the title is keyword research, it means that I'll make sure that I deposit my long form where the people are looking to consume it. Words matter. Just Google, how do you do keyword research? You don't need a Frank Kern, you don't need an expert, you don't need a special expensive doohickey. It's free tools online. All right, then I have members of my team that will prep my content in a couple of ways. For a podcast, it's just a title and 5 questions. And the podcast is a single camera on my face. It doesn't move, it's not on a gimbal, the lighting is good, the background is a little interesting, that's it. And I don't put guests on my podcast. You know why? Because I'm trying to put me in the world, not them on the world. I'm not doing earned traffic, that's a different strategy. I need to put a certain amount of my face out into the world if I want the world to suffocate with Kris Krohn. The reason why many of you see me is because I had 4,000 pieces of content. You can't, dude, you click on my thing once, that algorithm, I'm gonna follow you to the end of your days. It's a strategy. So I'm suffocating you, I'd like to think, with love and intelligent wisdom and useful information. All right, so this is what it actually looks like. I know it's really small, but you can pull out your camera and actually take a picture to see what the podcast actually looks like. And then on the right side, there's a title and there's questions. A title and 5 questions should fill up 15 to 30 minutes of conversation. For my style, I actually like to put a second person on my podcast to interview me. Their job is poke the bear, make it interesting. Like, don't have a lovey-dovey conversation. He's trying to piss me off half the time and gets me in my rant mode. And apparently there's some people that like it when I fly off the handle. And there's about a dozen things that you shouldn't bring up or else I'll fly off the handle. The other thing is YouTube. YouTube is a far more complicated thing to produce. If you watch any of my YouTube, I've got Ethan actually right here. Ethan, get up and move around. Ambulate. Okay, see what he's doing right? He's on a gimbal, and all he's gonna do is he's gonna follow me around, and if you watch my YouTube, it's very systematic. Every shot is 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and it's always the same 9 angles that we use over and over again. And the reason why I don't have to prepare anything for my content, other than being an expert, is because my team has produced 8 slides. It's always 8. Take a picture. That's more or less what they are. On the top left, there's a title. Guess what? It was keyword researched. And then there's the next one is a definition. And then there's like 3, 4, or 5 hacky thingies. And then there's a call to action. And so without any preparation, I'm the talent. I step in studio. My team has prepared this thing, and I walk in and I just read it and react. And then we change angles, and then I read it and I react. And then I change angles, and then I read it and I react. And we try to throw in a little bit of creativity. Last week I was in front of a dumpster, looking like a homeless person with a cardboard sign that said, "Just bought second jet, can't afford pilot." That video got some great views. Okay, so that's the first step. So raise your hand if you understand. You just only produce keyword research stuff. Does that make sense? And there's only 2 long forms, and long is important because long lives, how long? Forever. So make sure it's keyword research so that people can find it and you can get some momentum when you become a consistent producer. Now, I do 3 YouTube videos and 2 podcasts. That's a total of 5 pieces of content. Takes me a maximum of 3 hours and I'm done. How do I get thousands of postings out of that? Well, because of this. Step 2, we're going to produce our long form. You're going to schedule time every week. You're going to go in studio. You're basically going to bump those out. I already shared the poke the bear thing. This works because we're basically growing 200 to 300% every year because we are consistent with the posting. So if you want to write down this one rule, there's one thing that you never not do. You don't miss a post. You just don't. My 3 YouTube videos get posted Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You'll see that my team posts stuff on Tuesday and Thursday. Guess what it is? It's a videoed podcast that got repurposed. It's not built for the algorithm. It won't get as many views, but it's 30 minutes long, and my average view duration is 7.5 minutes. So when a random human being in the world clicks on my stuff, they'll watch 7.5 minutes, not like a stupid cat video that's 13 seconds. And so you have to have a commitment that once you start, and this is the hardest part, you don't stop. So when I'm in Ukraine, there's gonna be a camera with me. And I'm in San Diego, and there's a camera with me. And I make sure that no matter where I am in the world, I was in the Galapagos, the camera came with me. It's 3 hours every week, no matter what. Sometimes I get ahead so I can take like a month off, but this is the number one sin. Once you start, you don't not post, because that tells the algorithm that you're a flake and that they shouldn't trend you. All right, step 3. It says post 500 times every week, but frankly, it's got to be at least 300. So for just a moment, just think there's 8 major platforms. Here's the only ones that really matter. I'll show you the ones that I actually care the most about right here. YouTube, and there are 6 major syndication places for your podcast. Those are where your 2 long forms exist. Outside of that, you have to be on TikTok. And I love you, but you're an idiot if you're not. It's the most important platform. In our webinars, I have 22 lead sources that compete for revenue when I do a 7-figure webinar. And it's always email versus Instagram. And this year for the first time, guess what passed up Instagram? TikTok. So you have to be on Instagram, you have to be on TikTok, you have to be on YouTube, you have to post a podcast. And then you can do all the other ones where we post on everything, but I don't care about most of the rest. You might have something a little different if you have an older demographic and you still have needs for wanting to be on Facebook. If we've gone that far, we'll go through the trouble and we'll do the rest. But you want to be posting a minimum of 2 to 4 times per day on every one of those short forms. All right, step 4. Now that you have eyeballs, when I opened up my Uplife Studios company where I started picking influencers like Dolph and stuff, it took us 6 months to get views, and once you have views, now you need to drop them into funnels. And we don't need to have a ClickFunnels conversation. You're smart enough to just hack a funnel, and it's always gonna be one of the 3 things that you see right here. It's either a free game plan consultation, it's a free lead. It's a free plus shipping, which is very important. Like give them a special report, give them a book, give them a something. Or my most valuable lead is also a free lead that they pay nothing for, but they have to check a box saying they have to have at least 50 grand in assets. So Ryan Dice on day one yesterday talked about add in a qualifier. They're saying that next year their big thing is they're going to go from free exposure all the way to high end. I've been doing that for the last 5 years, and I'm just telling you, they're on the right path. That's a really smart way to play it. It's more about this. When you go into a sales process, everyone's in a financially different spot. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm talking about. Someone's got $100, someone's got 50,000, and someone's got 5 million, right? So you should have in your Ascension value ladder $500 products and $5,000 products. And in fact, if you just want to get this real quick, for my value ladder, it's always the same. 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 25,000, 35,000, 65,000. Now you can have other price points, but the point is when my sales team talks to a person, they're basically interviewing them. Where are you at in life and what do you want? If someone's like, oh, I've been watching Kris Krohn for 5 years, I've watched every piece of content and I have $400,000 sitting in my 401k and I believe him, it's stupid. I'm no longer a Dave Ramseyite and I'm going to divorce Dave and now I want to invest in real estate with Kris. They're going to talk about a high-level product and they're only going to talk about that high-level product. Does that make sense? But you're talking to the college kid that started off poor like I did and they got like $3,000 in the name. We're going to be talking about like a $500 product, right? Because that's what's appropriate for where they're at. So you got to generate qualified leads. That starts free. This might be interesting. That second one, a free plus shipping in my ecosystem is worth $112 per lead that we generate. But someone that clicks the box saying they have $50,000, what it does is it hurts your conversions, but that lead's worth $2,000. So if you were to go right now to my YouTube channel and click, you'll see 15 different links and bios, and I'm always rotating and offering different things. It didn't start that way. You just start with the 2 things, and that's all people are gonna kind of get right there. Step 5, you gotta turn leads into profits. A couple of hacks here. I got 40 full-time sales reps. They're 100% commission, and they've got products that range from, and this is a very important hack, when anyone on the sales floor, first of all, they're on a sliding scale that goes from 10% to 20%. So when you sell less than 5 grand of stuff a week, I punish them. Yay, you made 10% on what you did there. If they sold between 5 and 10 grand, I say, you know what, we're gonna retro and pay you 15% on all your sales for a week. But anytime they sell 10,000 or more, we're going to pay them a flat 20. Because at that level, they're now a 6-figure member of my team. And really, I want my salespeople making $100,000 to several $100,000 a year. So that's why they're 100% commission. We pay them really well. But then there's something we do on our sales floor that I've never seen done anywhere else. I have a weird, funky hybrid model, which means this. Anyone can sell anything, except for anything over 10 grand. Once someone is ideal for a higher level program, you always do a split commission, and they have to set it to the most qualified person on the team on a rotation system. And the reason why is probably pretty obvious. 20% of your salespeople are better than the other 80%. And so the other 80% are supposed to find your best opportunities, but they should never sell your best opportunities. Most people, when they do a sales floor, they just sell low stuff, or they get high ticket experts and they sell high stuff. They don't know the hybrid. This is a great hybrid model on how we do that, and that's the commission scaled so that you understand how that works. Simple value ladder, actually those are my price points, the main ones right there. $500, $1,000, and $2,000 are all the exact same product. It just determines whether you're in the ecosystem for 6 months, a year, or forever. At 5,000, we're giving you a lot more stuff. After 5 grand, we don't give you digital delivery. We go live, hands-on, and my belief is that we live in a very different world today than 2 decades ago. 2 decades ago, it was, give a man a fish, and you'll feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. That was the adage of 2 decades ago. Do you know what the adage is today? Just give me a fish. Done for you is what people want in so many industries. They don't want to be taught, they don't want to learn, they want to do different things with their time. They would rather it's the way I work in my world today, right? You know, a lot of people think I'm a real estate guy, but I own hundreds of companies, mergers, acquisitions, private equity is like my favorite thing on the planet. And I've got partnerships with organizations left and right, and I develop leaders and CEOs and build all these things because it's just a whole lot of fun, and I build social that goes behind all that because then it produces endless doubling and tripling every single year. And in that world, people are interested in a do it for me instead of let me show you how to do it. So if I'm gonna show you how to do it, you're never gonna pay more than $5,000. But if you want done for you access, that's when people want to pay more money. I don't work very much in my social world, but there is one meeting every week that I will attend if I'm in town no matter what, and that is 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes with my sales team, and that is because we have correlated that effort to them to having huge impact into the believability of what it is that we actually do. And just know that the first person you ever have to sell on your team is your salesperson, your sales team, because if they don't believe, they're not gonna represent you very well. All right, so this system that I've just given you here, here's what I'm really implying. It's gonna take a team, I'm gonna show you what it is. This is more or less the smallest team that I'd recommend if you wanna go organic. So it does take some resource and it keeps a lot of people out of the game, but it is 100% the future. Number one, you need an influencer. That might be you or a member of your team or someone that you contract. We will also hire outside talent that has some of that it factor, right? Like you have to have a compelling personality that is an expert. And I think they gotta have something a little entertaining. They can't just be like crazy boring. There's gotta be something unique or interesting or something about them, meaning they've done it for such a long time, they're bored out of their mind, and there's just something about them I think that people will like. So you gotta have your influencer. Number two, you need a video editor, ta-da. Today that's Ethan, although he represents a team of 100 people on what we're doing. Your video editor can do your keyword research. They can video and they can edit. Remember, they're only filming for 3 hours a week, so they can edit the rest. Then you're gonna hire an overseas editor. You're gonna pay him $400 or $500 a month, and that person is going to chippity chop, chop, chop all your stuff up. How do they know what to chop up if they don't speak English? Your video editor is also your curator. So they're gonna take their long forms they edited, they're gonna upload it into Frame.io, and then they're gonna mark 30 seconds, 42 seconds, 60 seconds. That was a really hot 2 minutes. We can't go longer than 2 minutes on most short platforms. Here's a really hot 18 seconds. And then the overseas person chops it up and formats it for the different platforms and drops it in a big Dropbox. And then it goes to one of the most important members of the team. And this is your social media coordinator. This person thinks in marketing. They're not there to post. They're there to think like a marketer, because when they post something to TikTok, they get to slap some words on the screen. And you want to collect and split test what words do people like. You can go to Kris Krohn and you can look at a whole bunch of lousy TikTok videos that got 5,000 views, 6,000 views, 2,800 views. How come this one got 984,000 views? Has something to do with the words on the screen. Save those words, put them in your back pocket and recycle them again. So you're collecting words. So your social media coordinator is one part organic split tester, and they should be obsessed with you, your channel, and be just asking, whatever the people like and click and view a lot, we should do more of that stuff. And that's what really their job is, to post it and to analyze it. And then finally, you gotta have someone on your team that can learn ClickFunnels, something like that. That's the easiest platform today, still in my opinion. And I've never been able to hire a funnel hacker. It's just a self-taught, self-learned thing, and really you're just ripping off someone else's stuff and customizing it and then split testing it to make it your own, so it doesn't even matter. That's a learned skill, and anyone can pick that up in a couple of months. You know, if they're like, oh, on my resume, I build HTML websites and I do some design work and I like a little bit of copywriting. That's all you need. An amateur can figure that out, because the market is going to, these words are better than those words, these colors are better than those colors, we like vectors versus static images, etc. All right, that's a little confusing, but there's a subliminal message in how that came out. If you can figure it out, I can't. And that's it. So I got 15 minutes for Q&A. I went through that pretty fast to see if we got any questions with you guys. And if you don't have any questions, thank you very much.
Hey guys.